Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto fell in love with Mizukage? Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. After the little event with Raiga, Naruto's name became a big deal in the village, he even made it into some of the village's bingo books. Some people saw him using the QB's chakra, and while they didn't know what it was, they knew it was powerful. It earned him the nickname the Red Mist because of the color of chakra coming off him when he used it. Tsunade was able to keep it out of the Leaf's bingo book for a while because they were allies. However, that was before he made Jonin when he was 16, and even if they were allies, the Leaf still had to mark all A-rank Jonin for safety purposes. He was going to leave for his next visit in just 2 days, and his friends were already going to want to see to congratulate for making Jonin, and they were defiantly going to question him on the red chakra too. Naruto sighed, I guess I finally have to tell them, don't I? Mei smiled gently and kissed her husband, it's gonna be just fine, you know they're still gonna love you just like they did before. Everyone in the mist loves you and all of them know, I'm sure your friends of all people won't care. Mei always had a way of relaxing Naruto even in the scariest situations, thanks sweetie, guess I'll talk to them before I have to go see Danzo. Mei scowled at the name, why does that old warhawk wanna see you, he already tired to sneak in that clause, so that he could take our kids, what's he up to now? Naruto shrugged, I don't know, but it'll be fine, Tsunade made sure he can't take them, and I trust her. Mei nodded, I know, but I can't help but worry. Speaking of kids, the council's pushing us to start a family. Apparently they want me to have kids before I lose my fertility. Naruto went wide-eyed, but you're 19, we've got plenty of years for that. Mei laughed, which is exactly what I told them, don't worry Naruto, the only one who's gonna decide it when we have kids is us. Naruto sighed and shook his head, he really hated politics. Naruto woke up 2 mornings later and sighed, today was the big day he was going to have to tell all of his friends the truth about the QB. He had some breakfast, talked with Mei for a little bit, and headed out. He saw Mizura training with Kiba, Mizura was a lightning elemental, and laughed. Naruto would have to Kiba Inuzuka about the Kiba blades when he got to the Leaf, he was sure everyone would get a kick out of that. Naruto got to gates of the Leaf and took a deep breath, he could already tell it was gonna be a long day. He took no more than 1 step in the Leaf when he saw a green blur rushing towards him. Yosh, Naruto, I swore to be the first to congratulate you, and by the power of youth I have done it. Well done in becoming a Jonin, my friend, Lee screamed. Naruto winced at the boy's ear-piercing volume, thanks Lee, but there's no need to yell. Lee, we told you to slow down, Sakura said, her and the rest of Naruto's friend had been running behind Lee, hey Naruto, nice job making Jonin. I'd expect nothing less from my student, said Kakashi. Naruto smirked, all you taught me was tree walking. Kakashi scratched the back his head and laughed, well yeah, that in teamwork. Kiba spoke up next, you're even in the bingo book, that's awesome man. Naruto laughed, yeah I guess. Oh yeah, you know that guy I fought, Raiga. The name of his blades was Kiba. Kiba smirked, just a name for stuff that's awesome I guess. Or a name for stuff that's useless without its partner, Ino muttered with a giggle. Hey. Kiba yelled. Naruto, I noticed some interesting things in your bingo book entry that I couldn't quite find an explanation for, care to explain, Shino said, making everyone jump, they didn't even realize he'd arrived. Amagaki, buy a bella put it around your neck or something, Anko yelled at him. I don't think Naruto needs to explain anything to us, said a nervous Hinata. Naruto shook his head, no, I need to explain this. Let's go get some lunch, I'll explain it there. They all nodded and headed out, very curious. They couldn't believe everything they just heard, the QB being alive and sealed in Naruto, his horrible childhood, all of it. Sakura had tears in her eyes, Sakura, what's wrong? Naruto asked. Sakura began to sob, everything I did to you when I was younger, all the times I hit you and called you stupid, refused to play with you, and it wasn't even your fault. You weren't stupid or a bad kid, you just never had anyone to teach you. I'm so sorry, I'm a horrible person. She had buried her head in her hands and cried. Naruto put his hand on her shoulder, it's okay, you didn't know, none of you did. Shikamaru shook his head, still, we were pretty bad to you. Naruto smiled, I turned out okay, everything's good now. The past is in the past. Kakashi I smiled, we're glad you feel that way Naruto. Naruto paid for his meal and got up, well I gotta go meet Danzo, I'll see you guys later. He left, leaving the others to question the way they had treated him when they were younger. Naruto arrived at Danzo's office and knocked on the door, which opened with Danzo standing in the door, Naruto-san, please come in. Naruto nodded and entered the room, it wasn't a very fancy place, kinda boring really. Danzo motioned to a chair and Naruto sat down, not to be rude, but what's this about? It's not like we know each other or something, so would you call me in here? Anzo sat down, his face was emotionless as ever. We have an issue that needs to be discussed, about the QB. Naruto raised an eyebrow, what about it? Anzo opened a bottle of sake he had on the table and poured himself a drink. You see, back when a young girl known as Kushina Uzumaki, possibly a relative of yours, I was never really able to find much out about her. First came her, she contained the QB. She was given for us to protect under the condition that when she died we got to keep the QB, so it more or less became the property of the leaf to do with as we please. When you were married to Mei Terumi that did not change. We need to discuss what will happen to the QB in the event of your death. Naruto was skeptical, so why isn't the rest of the council here, why only you? Anzo took a sip of his drink, the rest of the council is under the impression that the QB belongs to whoever it is inside of, I am not. I was hoping that you would be willing to cooperate with me when this issue comes to the council. Naruto shook his head, and why on earth would I do that? Anzo smirked, why to make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands of course. Naruto-kun, may I call you that? Naruto shrugged but nodded, when you were first born and the QB was sealed inside of you, I wanted to have you trained to use its power, to keep out of the village, and out of harm's way. However the third did not see eye to eye with me on this and refused. Naruto-kun, you've gotten very strong, but with the Akatsuki after you the likelihood is you won't live very long. I'm willing to bet the Mist Council is trying to force to start a family. You must know why that is, it's because they want you to have kids before you die, so they have someone to seal the QB into. Do you honestly believe a woman like Mei could really love you? You're being used as a pawn, Naruto-kun, can't you see Fa? He was cut off when Naruto punched him in the face, tuck you. How dare you say that, you worthless piece of shit? Mei loves me, and I love her, so shut the hell up. I should kill you right now, you son of fish. You can go tuck yourself. Anzo laughed, you're perfect, you're not like the other ninja, you don't fall for my simpler tricks. Most ninja put on the headband and become our property, that's the way it works. The only way to win in this world is to manipulate the weak. The villagers, the third, your teachers, all of them kept you weak so that they could use you. Not me, I'm willing to help you, I won't live forever Naruto, but if we work together I can live longer and I can see to it that you become strong enough to survive the Akatsuki and take over root when I'm gone. I'm the one who suggested that you marry Mei, that's right, you got that hot piece of ass because of me. I was trying to find a way to get her bloodlines, I figured I could have you marry her and then once one of your kids inherits the QB I'd just make them come back here and we'd have a new bloodline. But you aren't that foolish, are you? You knew just what I was trying to do. If you help me with the council, you can tuck Mei for a few more years and once you have kids bring them to be raised here and help make the leaf stronger, your home stronger. In this world either you're the weapon or the wielder, which one are you? Naruto was shaking, you're one sick bastard, you know that. Because you brought Mei into my life I'll let you live, but if you ever make me an offer like that again I will kill you. Me, my kids, those other ninja, they aren't weapons, they're living breathing things. Hell, that's why the tailed beasts hate us, we've never viewed them as anything but weapons or monsters, never just living breathing things with emotions. You're sick and I'll never be like you, I'm gonna bring peace to the ninja world and people like you aren't gonna stop me. Naruto walked out of the room and slammed the door, nearly breaking it. Naruto went to bed that night and began to fall into a strange dream, he seemed to be in a sewer, he looked around and saw metal bars in front of him, he realized where he was aside, this couldn't be good. Baki, we need to have a talk, the QB roared. Fine, I'm guessing we'll just skip the pleasantries since we know each other's names. Wait, is QB your name? Naruto asked. QB looked surprised, no, my name is Kurama. You're actually the first person to ask, how sad is that? Not important, this is about what you said earlier today, about the tailed beasts, you said we hate you because you only see us as weapons or monsters, not people. You're pretty much dead on, so I've thought about it and since you seem to understand what we want, I'm willing to make you a deal. Naruto raised an eyebrow, what's that? You want to bring peace to the world and I want to guarantee that if you do, you will free me and my brothers and sisters and let live as they please, in exchange I will give you access to my power and teach you how to use it and agree that none of use will turn on you once we're free. Said the Kurama. Naruto smiled, wow, talk about one hell of an offer. I'm definitely in, just how strong is this gonna make me? Kurama shook his head, it's not instant power, I'm going to teach you to use it properly and even then I'm going to give it to you slowly to keep your mind and body from going insane. Also I'm still not giving you all of my power because I still don't fully trust you, if and when I do, then you can have full access. Naruto nodded, sounds good, anything else? Kurama shook his head again, no, you may leave, just wake up and I'll see you again eventually. Naruto was about to ask him how he would wake up when he jolted upright in his bed, cold sweat on his forehead. He laid back down, laughed, Mei was not gonna believe this. When Naruto got back from the leaf and told Mei what happened, she nearly went back there herself to melt Danzo. Luckily Naruto was able to talk her down and tell her it all end up for the best. She went even more wide-eyed when Naruto told her about his talk with Kurama. "You're telling the mighty QB agreed to work with you and that his name isn't QB, it's Kurama. You really know how to keep us on our toes, Naruto-kun," she said, trying to process all the information. Naruto laughed. "What can I say, I don't like it when things are boring." Mei laughed and grabbed Naruto's hand. "Come on." Naruto looked confused. "Where to?" Mei smiled. "I'm still pissed about what Danzo said, I'm gonna show just how much you mean to me." Naruto smiled and picked Mei up bridal style and carried her to the bedroom. It was gonna be a good night. The next few months went by without much excitement. The only thing that really happened was Danzo was kicked off the council for trying to go behind their back. Tsunade wanted to go so far as to try him for treason, but she chose not to. She really didn't want the fallout that would come if she did. Naruto had gotten fantastic with his wind jutsu. He learned nearly all of his father's wind techniques, and he'd learned a fair amount of fire jutsu which worked perfectly with oil released by the toads. Mei was doing quite well with the toads too. She quickly found that her elemental jutsu went fantastically with the toads. She could summon Gamabunta, though it took a large amount of her chakra and all of the other toads as well. Over the past 2 years she had become much stronger simply by combining her jutsu with theirs. Naruto and Mizura were doing fantastically with sealing. The Uzumaki scrolls were absolutely amazing, and Naruto had a natural talent for sealing that Mizura had never even imagined was possible. Mizura wasn't really teaching him anything at this point, he was just reading the Uzumaki scrolls with him and improving himself. Mizura asked Naruto one day why he was okay with him reading the Uzumaki scrolls, to which Naruto simply told him that he didn't really mind who read the scrolls, as long as it was improving the Mr. the Leaf. Zawabo was currently helping him in combining the Rasengan with Cyclone Shuriken, but it proved to be rather difficult. Still, they continued to work on it. It's not like it was first time Naruto had something challenging to do, he sure as hell wasn't gonna give up now. Last but not least, Naruto had been training with the Kurama's chakra. It was extreme hard on his body, but thanks to him being in Uzumaki and Kurama's chakra, he healed relatively easily. He now had nearly unlimited chakra. All in all, things were going great. Another 2 months passed, and it was time for the Mist to host the Chunin exams. Mei's birthday had been about a month ago. Naruto was no 17, and about 2 weeks after her birthday, she had started to act a little strange. Naruto couldn't quite put his finger on it, but she was acting differently. She was always in bathroom first thing in the morning, she was getting into strange moods, little things like that. Naruto chose not to look too far into it, he would respect Mei's privacy unless things got too out of hand. He had other things to worry about as it was. He had to go and meet Shikamaru and Sakura to escort them to the Mist for the exams. It took him about 2 hours after leaving the Mist to find them. Sakura was very happy to see Naruto, as always, Naruto-kun, she had added the suffix last year, "How are you doing?" Naruto laughed and gave her a hug. "I'm doing pretty good, how about you?" Sakura hugged him back. "I'm doing great," Tsunade said, "I should make Jonin in the next few years. I'm almost as good with medical jutsu as Shizune is, but my taijutsu is still a little lax." Shikamaru sighed. "Look, the Mist is 2 hours away, and I'd really like to take a nap. It's too troublesome to keep waiting, so can we keep moving?" Naruto laughed. "Alright, let's get moving. So what did I miss in the past month?" Sakura got excited. She loved talking about her friends. Hinata is still dating Kiba, Tenten, and Niji are still together. Tuino is dating Choji crazily enough, and Shikamaru here started dating Temari. Shikamaru growled, "Do I need to bring up you and Lee?" Sakura blushed, "Shut up." Naruto roared with laughter, "Man, you guys are great." "Oh Sakura, can I ask you a question about girls?" Sakura raised an eyebrow. "Alright, what?" Naruto told her about Mei's strange behavior, and you could see the wheels turning in Sakura's head, "But please don't tell her I ask you about it, I don't want her to think I'm prying." Sakura nodded. "Sure, I'll try to ask her about it without being too obvious that I know something." "Thanks Sakura, I really owe you one," said Naruto, and headed off to the Mist. Sakura walked into Mizukage's office, a little curious how to start asking Mei questions without seeming too obvious. Fortunately she didn't have to. "Sakura, just the person I was hoping to see. I was hoping you could run a few tests for me, would that be okay?" Mei asked. Sakura nodded. "What kind of tests?" Mei pulled out some papers and handed them to Sakura. "These ones." Sakura looked them over and nodded. "Wow, guess I was right. Naruto said you'd been acting different, he didn't want you to think he was prying, but I don't think that really matters at this point. I've got everything we need in my medical bag, just give me a little bit of time." The tests took about an hour, leaving Mei to wait patiently. Sakura looked at the results and handed them to Mei. "Congratulations, how do you feel?" Mei took a deep breath, a little scared but really excited, "Kinda like my wedding night." Can you bring Naruto here? I'm gonna stay here and think about how to tell him. Sakura nodded. When Lady Tsunade gets here I want her to test something. I suspect something, but I don't want to say anything until she tests it. Sakura left the room leaving Mei to look out the window. A simple thought kept running through her head. I'm going to be a mother. Naruto was currently sitting with Shikamaru running the written portion of the exams, something that was always extremely boring. Lucky for them, it was just about over. It was time for the 10th question. Alright people, are all ready for the 10th question? Naruto yelled. They all nodded. Good, now only 2 people from each team will be moving on. You must choose which one of you will not be moving on. One person screamed out, what, how the hell are we supposed to do that? Naruto shrugged, not my problem. Pick one of them already, hurry up. If you wish you may all take the test again next year, if that's what you want stand over there by the window. The teams began to talk amongst themselves, about 2/3 of them went and stood by the window, you all refused to send some back. They all nodded, congratulations you've all passed the test. Wait you said if we didn't choose someone we failed, one genin yelled. Naruto smirked, yes, I lied. Ninjas do that from time to time. In the shinobi world you never leave someone behind unless you absolutely have to, those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. You all need one another to succeed, none of you strong enough to pass this on your own yet, or even with just one other person, you need everybody. The test ended and the failing genins left the room, with Sakura entering it, Naruto-kun, Mei, and I need to see you in her office. Alright I'll be there in a second, Naruto told her. Naruto gathered all of his necessary belongings and headed out, happy to finally have the written test done and over with. Naruto just sat there, a shocked look on his face, are you sure? Mei nodded, yes we're sure. How do you feel about all this? Naruto looked at the ground, and slowly a large smile crept on his face, he ran up gave Mei a large hug, spinning her around, this is great. We're gonna be parents. Oh man I can't believe it, when did this happen? Mei laughed, glad to see Naruto was so happy, I think on my birthday, we didn't take the proper precautions when we got to bed that night. Naruto was still smiling, who cares, we're having a baby for crying out loud. Does Sakura know how far along you are? Sakura finally spoke up, about 4 weeks, when Lady Tsunade gets here at the end of the month for finals, I want her to check something bad, just a suspicion. Naruto ran up and gave his wife another hug, Sakura-chan, do you mind, I want to talk with Mei for a while. Sakura nodded, of course, congratulations you guys. Naruto smiled at Mei, I never really had parents growing up, but I want you to know I'll do everything and anything I can for this baby. Mei smiled, I don't remember much about my parents, and I don't know much about raise a child, but I know we can do this. We're gonna be great parents Naruto-kun. Naruto held his wife close to him, yes we are Mei-chan, yes we are. The month passed by quickly, Mei found herself reading many books on parenting, and Naruto increased his training even more, now that he would have a child to protect. The end of the month came and they all waited for Tsunade in the Mizukage's office. Tsunade burst through the door, alright Gaki, what's all this about, why did you have to see me right away? Naruto smiled, sorry Bachan, I just figured you'd want to know you're gonna be a grandma, Tsunade's eyes went wide, Mei-chan's pregnant. Tsunade smiled and gave Naruto a bone-crushing hug, congratulations, whatever you need medic-wise you know you always have me, Sakura, and Shizune to back you up. Sakura whispered something in Tsunade's ear, and she nodded, Mei can you come here for a second? Mei walked over and Tsunade put a glow-green hand on her stomach, yup, you were right Sakura, 2 chakra signatures, you guys are having twins. The next sounded anyone heard was Naruto hitting the ground having fainted, the whole room erupted with laughter, and they all went out to celebrate once Naruto woke up. The Chunin exams passed without any trouble and everyone went home. Naruto was terrified at the idea of being a parent, but still he couldn't wait to meet his 2 children. This was really gonna be something special. Gaara stood on top of the Kizikage tower, looking out at Suna. He was made Kizikage after his father died, and he quickly found the people had not had a high opinion of his father, not that he could blame them. His father was warmonger who nearly leads Suna to destruction. The village still feared him, but they soon came to respect and accepted him as a good Kizikage. He sensed 2 people on the roof with him, he turned around expecting to see Kankuro and Temari, but instead he saw a strange man with a hump and blonde man with one eye. The man with the hump spoke first, so, it looks like another Kizikage dies at my hands, Suna always was the weakest of the 5 great ninja nations. Gaara scowled, do not threaten me or insult Suna, it will result in your death if you do. The blonde laughed, ha, look at that the kid's got spunk. This one should be fun Sasori. Gaara's eyes went wide at the name, everyone in Suna knew about Sasori of the Red Sand, possibly the greatest puppet master to date. He was what Kankuro strived to be. Badara, why don't we stop chatting and get this over with, Sasori said. Gaara got into a fighting stance and prepared for battle. This wouldn't be an easy fight. Kankuro was walking to the Kazekage's office to see his brother. He'd been very busy lately, and Kankuro planned to drag him out of the office. The ground beneath him began to shake and looked up. He saw one of Gaara's most powerful moves, Great Sand Tsunami. A large explosion erupted and Kankuro rushed to see his brother. He had a bad feeling about this. Deidara had Gaara slung over his back. In his effort to save his village from Deidara's explosive clay, Gaara had left himself open to Sasori's poisons. He was now completely paralyzed. They looked over to see a man with 2 puppets jumping in front of them. Sasori smiled inwardly, eager to see how puppet user would fare. Temari rushed over to Kazekage's office and saw Kankuro passes out on the roof. "Kankuro, are you okay? Where's Gaara?" "Akatsuki got poisoned me red sand," he mumbled before he passed out. Temari had tears in her eyes. She fears for both her brothers' lives. Naruto stood in his wife's office attempting to wipe the sleep from his eyes. He wasn't often woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, so he knew it had to be important. "What wrong, Mei-chan? Are you okay? Something with the babies?" Naruto asked, worried. His wife was now 5 months pregnant, so naturally his was a bit nervous. Mei shook her head. "No, we've just gotten word the Kazekage, your old friend Gaara, has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki." Naruto slammed his fist on the desk. "What? Well then, what the hell we waiting for? Let's get going." Mei smiled and sighed. "Naruto-kun, you know it's not that simple. We're getting a team together for you to go with. We're sending Mizura and Hayari with you. You can leave in an hour." Naruto nodded and turned to leave. Mei grabbed his hand and pulled him into a tight hug and a kiss. "Please Naruto-kun, be careful." Naruto smiled gently at his wife. "I will, Mei-chan, you and the babies just take it easy. I love you." Mei snuggled into his neck. "I love you too." Naruto waited for Mizura and Hayari. It was driving him insane waiting for them. The two of them walked up to Naruto. "What took you so long?" Mizura startled. "We're only 5 minutes late." "Yeah, what's the big deal? We don't even know what the mission's for yet," said Hayari. Naruto frowned. "It's a rescue mission for the Kazekage, damn it. He's my friend and he's been captured by the Akatsuki. Let's hurry the hell up." Hayari smirked. "This is the Akatsuki's doing? Oh, I am so in. I've been waiting for a crack at them for years." Mizura looked down. "I apologize, Naruto-san, I had no idea your friend was at risk." Naruto made some hand seals and slammed them on the ground. A large toad appeared. "Hello Naruto-san, what can an ungraceful toad like me do for you?" "It's good to see Mr. Gamaken. How fast can you get us to Suna? It's extremely important," Naruto asked. Gamaken smiled. "I may not be graceful, but I'm extremely fast. I can have us there in less than a day if I go at top speed." Naruto nodded. "Alright you guys, jump on, we don't have much time, so let's get moving." The 3 of them jumped on and Gamaken took off. His speed really was quite impressive. Gamaken had them there in about 20 hours. Naruto was quite pleased. "Thanks Mr. Gamaken, you're the best." "Glad to be of assistance, Naruto-san. I must be going now, an ungraceful toad like me needs a lot of training," Gamaken told him and poofed away. Naruto looked at a nearby clock. It was just past 2 a.m. He knew Kakashi, Sakura and Shikamaru were due in about 10 hours. He didn't have time to wait for them. He hated that he had to go check with Temari as it. He rushed to hospital to find her and found her sitting next to Kankuro with tears in her eyes. "How's Kankuro doing?" he asked. "Not good." "How far off is Sakura?" she asked desperately. Naruto sighed. "About 10 hours, sorry." Temari felt awful. "Is there anything any of you can do?" Mizura spoke up. "I can, but a seal on him that will slow down the poison considerably. It should keep him stable till Sakura gets here." Temari smiled. "Fantastic, do it quick, he's not doing well." Mizura scratched his chin. "It'll take about an hour." Naruto scowled. "We can't keep waiting, Gaara's in danger every second he's with the Akatsuki." Temari shook her head. "You're gonna wanna wait, they have Sasori of the Red Sand with them and some other member who's gotta be an S rank too. You can't handle them alone." Naruto thought for a second. "I'm low Kage level myself and Hayari is an elite Jonin. If you could send us one more Jonin we could hold them off till the others got there, no problem. Me and Kankuro are the strongest Jonin in the village, but with Kankuro poisoned, I really think I should stay here," Temari told him. An old woman stepped forward. "I'll go. I know more about Sasori than anyone." Hayari raised an eyebrow. "No offense, but aren't you a little old to be an active ninja?" Naruto shot Hayari and look, "Hayari, I expect more from you. The 3rd Hokage was in his mid-80s and the Tsuchikage is pushing 100 and they're 2 of the strongest ninja to date. Age means nothing in the ninja world. Please, tell us about yourself, miss." The woman laughed. "I see this one has a good head on his shoulders. I'm Lady Chiyo, one of Suna's most famous puppet masters. Sasori is my grandson, I taught him about puppet myself after his parents died. He's quite impressive, the only one who may surpass him is Kankuro." "You're perfect." Let's get moving, we've wasted far too much time, said Naruto. The other nodded and they left the hospital. Temari sat there silently thanking Naruto for everything he'd done for her. Saving Gaara from the darkness, bringing their family closer, bringing Shikamaru into her life. She owed him a lot and she doubted she'd ever be able to really pay him back. Naruto, Chiyo, and Hayari had been traveling for the past 5 hours. They had the advantage of the Akatsuki not knowing they were coming so soon and them having to make sure Gaara stayed alive while they traveled. Naruto kept thinking back to Sasuke's rescue mission, it had some similarities. The big difference was that Gaara's life hung in the balance, while with Sasuke he was going undercover. They had about a day advantage on us, I'm not sure how long it's gonna be before we catch them, said Chiyo. Yeah I know, we're lucky they left a chakra trail I can track, Hayari said with some pride in her voice. I can't believe you never told us you were a sensory ninja, Naruto complained. Hayari shrugged, I'm not, I just have heightened sense due to my clan. The same way a shark senses blood we sense chakra. Naruto shook his head, whatever, don't look a gift horse in the mouth I guess. The Leaf Ninja arrived 2 hours earlier than expected, for the first time anyone could remember Shikamaru refused to slow down even a little. They burst into the hospital, where's the patient? Sakura panted. She saw Kankuro on a hospital bed and got to work, it was actually relatively easily as the poison hadn't reached much of his body. Shikamaru went over to Temari and held her close, how's it going you troublesome woman? Temari got a slight smile on her face, a little better lazy boy. Have they sent anyone after Gaara? He asked. Temari nodded, Naruto and 2 others. Shikamaru sighed in relief, if Naruto's on job we've got nothing to worry about. He never lets his friends down. Kankuro got out of bed and started to get dressed, good, I want a second shot at Sasori for going after my brother like that. Don't even say I'm not ready to fight, I'm not abandoning my brother. Temari nodded and everyone, which include Temari, Kankuro, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Sakura and Mizura, headed out. Naruto and others finally got near the Akatsuki after 12 hours of traveling, their chakra isn't moving, I think they're resting. Hayari told them. They nodded and Chiyo asked, should we engage, we don't know much about the other one, and I don't want to engage Sasori without an antidote for his poisons. Naruto shook his head, I don't want to risk it, we can't let them reach some of their friends, we can't handle that. We need to attack them now, Chiyo and Hayari you guys handle Sasori, I'll take the blonde. You guys aren't very adaptable which isn't good against a new opponent, my style is very adaptable, plus Chiyo knows about Sasori's style, and Hayari can do a little bit of med if you guys get poisoned. They both nodded, they couldn't argue with the boy's logic. Naruto ran at the blonde, and the other 2 ran at Sasori, it was time for big fight. The goal wasn't to win, just to hold off until the other got there. Chiyo jumped in front of her grandson, and he smiled under his armor, grandmother, it's been a long time. Chiyo scowled, Sasori, I love you, but I can't let you keep going on like this. I tried so hard not to let the culture of the sand get you, but clear I failed, I'm sorry. Sasori laughed, you always did make me laugh grandmother, but enough talk let's begin, he said he charged at her. Naruto jumped out and stopped the blonde, put Gaara down, and there'll be no trouble. Deidara laughed, no way kid, I'm the great artist Deidara, my art is explosive. Naruto got into fight stance, then let's do this, Naruto said, and started to make clones. Naruto was panting heavily, this guy was tough. Naruto couldn't rest for even second, if he did he'd find one Deidara's explosive bugs waiting for him or an explosive bird flying in his direction. What's the matter, can't handle the genius of my art? Deidara mocked. No, just trying to keep the ugly crap from touching me, by the way you shouldn't stop to talk to your opponent, Naruto shot back. Deidara was about to ask him what he meant, but found himself avoiding a demon wind shuriken, ha, is that the best you can do? Naruto smirked, no, but this is. The shuriken turned into a clone and kicked Deidara in the face, an old trick of mine, not bad huh, Naruto laughed. Deidara reached into his clay pouch, you are so dead. Hayari had never fought a puppet master before and after watching Lady Chiyo and Sasori go at it, she was glad she hadn't. She had been trying to hit him with her shark bombs, with it resulting in him slicing it with his tail thing every time. You alright Lady Chiyo? You're looking a little tired, she asked. We're just getting started little girl, you'd better keep up, I can't have you slowing me down, not against Sasori, Chiyo replied. Hayari laughed, I knew I liked you, I've got an idea, would be able to keep his front occupied, so I can use something special on his back. Chiyo nodded, of course. Sasori was on the other end of the clearing preparing for an attack, I don't know what you're talking about over there, but I promise you it won't work. Chiyo didn't reply and sent her puppets after Sasori. He wasn't expecting the attack, and he narrowly blocked it. Unfortunately for him he didn't notice the water forming under his puppet until it was too late. Water style. Rising water shark jaws jutsu, Hayari yelled, as the head of shark rose up and crushed the puppet master. They both waited for the dust to clear. When it did, they saw a young boy who looked to be about 16 standing there. Well played, grandmother, very well played indeed. Gio looked shocked. It looks like you haven't aged a day since you left the sand. Sasori smirked, just keep fighting, grandmother, if you live long enough you may come to understand how I've stayed so young. The group other ninja were traveling as fast as they possibly could to meet the others, with Kakashi summons leading the way. If Kakashi had to guess, he'd say they were about 5 hours out. He really didn't like to think about leaving them hung to dry for that long. Do you really think they can handle those two? Sakura asked, fear very apparent in her voice. Kakashi gave her his classic eye smile. You should have more faith in Naruto, he's a good ninja. If anyone can hold those guys off, it's him. Sakura smiled and sped up. She didn't intend to let Naruto get all the glory. For the last 3 hours Naruto had been avoiding Deidara's various explosives, send a clone at him at every chance he got. Naruto knew Deidara's only had so much clay, and Naruto had more than enough chakra to outlast him. Naruto sent a clone with a Rasengan at him, which Deidara barely dodged. He reached in his pouch and could feel he was running low on clay. He knew was out of options. It was time to bust out the big guns. You've done pretty good, kid. You've earned the honor of seeing one of my signature pieces, he said as he put some clay in his hands, the C4 dragon. A massive burst of smoke erupted, and Deidara was standing on top of a massive white dragon. Naruto scowled and started going through hand seals. You think you're the only one who can summon something big? He slammed his hands on the ground. Another burst of smoke erupted. Damn it, Gaki, why the hell did you summon me? Gamabunta yelled. Sorry, but I've got a friend in danger and Clay Dragon to worry about, Naruto replied. Gamabunta sighed, fine, it's been a while so I won't squish ya, but I want some if the Mist special sake for this. Naruto nodded, you'll get it, now let's do this. Gio couldn't believe the sight before her eyes. The third Kizikage turned into a mere puppet to be used by her grandson. You killed the third Kizikage just so you could turn him into some puppet, why? Sasori laughed, this isn't just some puppet, it's very special. It's what I like to call a human puppet. It has all the abilities of the user when they were alive, including the third's bloodline. Gio went wide-eyed, Hyori, be careful. The third Kizikage had an incredible power known as Iron Sand. It allowed him to control microscopic shards of iron and take large amounts of them and turn them into virtually any weapon. Knowing Sasori, every shard is poison too, so avoid being hit, although with a third that may prove too difficult for either of us. Hyori gasped, just how strong was this guy? He actually managed to kill a Kage and take his body for his own personal use. Sasori just kept laughing, it's been so nice catching up, grandmother, but I'm afraid that I've brought out my favorite puppet, you don't stand a chance. Gio got her puppets ready. This was going to be the most difficult fight of her life. Temari was moving at an inhuman pace. They were less than 30 minutes from the Akatsuki, and she needed to save her little brother. She couldn't believe the others had held out this long, but she thanked God that they did. She was so close to having her baby brother back. She wasn't going to give up now. Naruto clung as close as he could to Gamabunta's head, watching things unfold before him. The clay dragon was powerful, but it was no match for the boss toad. It was falling quickly and Deidara could see it. He made a clay clone and jumped to the dragon, grabbing Gaara and planning to make a run for the hideout. Naruto, however, was not easily fooled. Oh no, you don't. He yelled and drew Kubikarabjm. He channeled wind chakra into it and made a large slash. A blast of wind flew out of the blade, hit Deidara in the back. Naruto landed in front of Deidara and he scowled, damn it, that really hurt you, prick. Naruto scowled, you tried to kill my friend, so forgive me if I don't feel sorry for you. Gamabunta made one final slash at the dragon, promptly slicing it in half, destroying the beast. That's all for me, Gaki, I'll see you soon to get that sake. He yelled, poofing away. Naruto looked at Deidara and activated Kurama's chakra. I'm done playing games, give me Gaara or I'll kill you right now. Deidara laughed lightly, realizing who the kid was, so you're the Nine Tails, huh, no wonder you have so much chakra. Naruto shook his head, I'm just the container. Look, I'm done talking, give me Gaara now. Deidara put the boy down and reached in his pouch, I've still got a little fight left in me, you damn fox, I ain't giving up that easy. Naruto made 4 clones, one jumped into the trees, well then you've left me no choice, time to use my new jutsu to finish this fight once and for all. The other 2 clones began to make some kind of sphere in his hand. Deidara scoffed, and you think I'm just gonna stand here, it's gonna take a lot more than 1 clone to hold me down, so I hope you didn't send one into the trees just for that. Naruto smiled, I didn't, I sent it to find my friend so he could pin you down. Deidara raised an eyebrow, what are you, wait, why the hell can't I move? Shadow possession success, Shikamaru said from the trees, smiling at his foe's confusion. Naruto's clones finished and Naruto charged at Deidara, you lose, wind style. Rasen Shuriken, he yelled, slamming his hand into the other blonde's gut. There was a massive explosion of chakra, and when the dust cleared the only thing that remained was a large crater with Naruto standing inside. Nice jutsu, what is that in S rank? Naruto nodded, yeah, something I've been working on. Good thing you showed up, I was having some trouble. Shikamaru shrugged, I have a feeling you would have beat him even if I wasn't here. That guy's was strong, what are you like Kage level now? Naruto scratched the back of his head, low Kage level I guess. Come on, let's get Gaara to Sakura, he needs some help. Shikamaru nodded and helped the blonde pick him up so they could get moving. It had been a damn good fight. Shikamaru was kinda sad he missed it. Sasori, for the first time in years, was genuinely afraid. He was surrounded by jonin on all sides, this wasn't good. That was a bad situation even for him, he wasn't sure he could get out of this one. This Mizura person was a major problem, he was conducting electricity through his iron sand, he had nearly fired the Kazekage puppet twice. Sasori used his shot the iron sand at Mizura, manipulating it to cover as much ground as possible. Mizura flipped and slid to avoid the iron sand from all angles. I'm afraid you'll have to do better than that, he told him shooting more lighting at the iron sand. Sasori wasn't able to avoid it this time. It hit his puppet causing a crack and twist, eventually shattering. Sasori was extremely irritated, that was my favorite puppet, you'll pay for that. He pulled off his cloak to reveal his whole body was made of wood, with a white piece in his chest. He released over 100 puppets from his back. My grandmother may have taken down entire fortress, but with this attack, I took down an entire nation's. Mizura took a look at his body and examined it. I recognized the seal on the white part of his chest, it contains his consciousness, destroy that and it's over. Sasori scowled, you die first you and damn pest. Sorry, but actually you die first, Kakashi said, appearing out of nowhere and shoving a Chidori in his chest. He had held back when the rest surround him, so he could surprise Sasori. Damn you, the Akatsuki will win in the end, you fools are only delaying the inevitable, Sasori said and collapsed. Just as Sasori fell, Naruto and Shikamaru jumped in, looks like you guys are done too. Nice job, said Shikamaru. Sakura took a look at Gaara, we'd better get back to Suna, his condition is stable for now, but to really fix him, we'll need all of my medical supplies. They all nodded and headed off. 2 members of the Akatsuki were dead, as far as they were concerned, it had been a good day. A man in something that looked like a Venus flytrap watched from the distance and mumbled, leader Same is not going to like this. They got Gaara back to Suna as fast as they could, everyone was very eager for this to be over. Once they got back, Sakura had a very easy time healing him. Sasori's poison was designed to paralyze not kill. She took samples of all the poisons so that she could have cures on hand if she ever needed them again. All in all, it ended for the best, they made out like bandits with everything they recovered. Kankuro was able to retrieve Sasori's puppet body, which he would practice with as it was quite powerful, as well as other puppets of Sasori's to study and learn from along with Lady Chiyo. They were able to get several samples of Deidara's explosive clay lying around the wrecked battlefield, which could be useful if they could identify the elements of the compound and track down where he was getting the material to make it. Last but not least, they had found a very special poison Sasori had that a rare snake venom in it he only could have gotten from one person, Orochimaru. Either Orochimaru still worked with the Akatsuki or Sasori had a spy in his organization. Everyone agreed it had to be the latter, as there was no way the Akatsuki would trust Orochimaru after everything that had went down between them. Sasori had all of his personal notes stored in his puppets, the one thing he really trusted, and once they were able to break the code they were written, they may be able to figure. After a lot of straighten things out, they had finally decided it was time to leave. Gaara insisted on seeing them off at the gate, thank all of you for help, I would be dead now if weren't for all of you. Damari, who was over saying goodbye to Shikamaru, walked over to Naruto and gave him a hug, thank you for everything you've done for us, we can never repay you. Naruto laughed and scratched the back of his head, it's no big deal. Gaara stepped forward, no, my sister is correct. You've helped bring happiness into our family, something I never thought possible. If there's anything we can ever do for you, please just ask. Naruto nodded and shook his hand, thank you, that means a lot. They said their finally goodbyes and headed off. Naruto turned to Sakura, would you mind just heading back with me, Mei's 22 weeks along now and it's time for her checkup. I know we could just wait, but we're able to find out the genders of the babies and I'm really excited. Sakura nodded, of course, it wouldn't be any trouble at all. Naruto smiled and they continued walking, he was extremely excited about this. That Tsuchikage was aggravated, he didn't know why someone was walking him up from his nap, but he was pissed about it, this better be important or I swear I'm going to bury under a mountain and fall asleep on top of it. The aide smiled nervously, I'm sorry Lord Tsuchikage, but we all felt you'd want to know Deidara was finally killed. Tsuchikage was surprised, he really though if anyone would kill Deidara, it would be him, really, when did this happen? The aide sighed in relief that Tsuchikage wasn't going to kill him. "We got the messenger bird a minute ago. It was sent over as soon as he was killed. He's been dead less than a day." The Tsuchikage nodded. "Any idea who killed him?" The aide pulled out a leaf bingo book. "Yes sir, he's in the bingo book we recovered from the leaf a few weeks ago, the red mist, page 34. The Tsuchikage turned the pages until he found him. He frowned deeply when he saw the picture. "Why am I only see this now?" The aide was confused. "We haven't looked very deeply into it, is something wrong with it?" The Tsuchikage handed him the book. "Doesn't this boy look familiar to you?" The aide nodded, "A little, but we didn't really think much of it." The Tsuchikage sighed. "I may be old, but it looks like my memory is better than all of yours." He pulled a picture of his desk and handed to the aide. "I could never forget that face." The aide looked at the picture and went wide-eyed. "You don't mean?" The Tsuchikage shook his head. "He's a splitting image of the yellow flash. Set up a meeting with the Mizukage. She and I have a lot to discuss." Naruto walked into the Mizukage's mansion with Sakura and looked for Mei. "Mei-chan, where are you?" "I've got Sakura-chan here for your checkup." Mei walked out of the bathroom in just a towel. "Just a second sweetie, I'm getting dressed." Naruto nodded. "We're gonna find out the sexes of the babies today, are you excited?" Mei walked out in her usual attire and smiled. "Of course. Although I gotta admit, I'm much more excited to get these two out, I really wanna meet them. Not to mention I've gained 10 pounds thanks to these two," she said, rubbing her extended stomach. Naruto kneeled by her stomach and nuzzled it. "Aw, I think mommy's eager to get you two out." "That's okay, so is daddy. Although I think mommy looks great." Mei laughed. "Daddy just likes that mommy's boobs got bigger." Naruto shot her a grin. "Maybe a little." He gave her a kiss on the cheek. "Missed you, Mei-chan." Mei smiled, nuzzled into his neck. "Missed you too, Naruto-kun, although there's one thing we've got to talk about." She gave Naruto a smack on the head. "Ow, what was that for?" Mei put her hands on her hips. "You took on an S-rank missing nin by yourself, that's what." Naruto's sweat dropped. "How did you know about that?" Mei smirked. "Mizura sent a messenger bird to tell me everything happened while you were gone." Naruto sighed. "I'm sorry, but Gaara's life was at risk. I had to act fast if I wanted to save him." Mei sighed. I know. That doesn't make it any easier, Naruto-kun. I guess I'm just glad you're okay," she said, pulling him into a hug. Sakura just shook her head. "You two lovebirds done yet? I'd really like to get started." Naruto smirked. "Alright, and while we do you can tell us all about what's going on with you and Lee." Sakura blushed. She really had walked right into the one. It took about 2 hours for the gender tests to process. Mei was getting some paperwork done while she waited. After about an hour, one of her secretaries walked in. "Lady Mei, we just received a message from the Tsuchikage Inoki. It says that he wants to come and thank Lord Naruto personally for defeating Deidara." Mei raised an eyebrow. It wasn't like the great fence-sitter to do something like this. "Alright, I guess that should be fine." The secretary nodded and left, leaving Mei to try and figure out what Inoki's motives could be. After another hour, Sakura finally came back with the test results. Mei and Naruto stood eagerly waiting to hear her results. "Well, looks like you guys get the best of both worlds, one boy and one girl," Sakura told them. Mei squealed happily and hugged her husband. "Oh, we get one of each." Naruto laughed. "Yup, think of any new names while I was out." "No, I couldn't think of a thing," Mei pouted. Naruto smiled. "Don't worry, we'll think of a great name for them." Sakura smiled. "Well, I gotta get going, I'll see you guys soon." Sakura left the room while the couple continued to chat happily about different names. 2 weeks later, the Tsuchikage came for his visit, putting everyone in the village on edge. The Mist and the Rock weren't on great terms, as the Mist had stayed neutral in the last great ninja war and refused to help the Rock, who in turn refused to help the Mist with their revolution. Mei was actually one of the few people who wasn't nervous. Why should she be? She was a Kage after all. The only thing that made her nervous was not knowing Inoki's true motives, as she really doubted that he really just came to thank Naruto. She stood in her with her husband by her side. Naruto leaned over and whispered in her ear, "Don't worry, whatever the old prick is trying to pull, it won't work. You're way too smart for that." Mei whispered back, "Thanks, I just can't figure out why he would want to come and talk to us now, it doesn't really make sense." Naruto was about to respond when the Tsuchikage arrived. Walked over to welcome him. "Tsuchikage-san, how are you?" "Fine, Lady Mei, just fine," Inoki replied. Mei motioned for him to sit down, and he did. "So, I understand you've come to congratulate my husband on a job well done." Inoki nodded. "Yes, I have. Naruto did quite well, especially for someone his age." Naruto shrugged. "I had help from my friend Shikamaru." Inoki laughed. "Humble to boot, I happen to know Shikamaru didn't show up until the very end of the fight. I took the liberty of having some of my ninja look into the fight, it must have been a big one. There was blood and other destroyed objects everywhere, it was quite impressive." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Okay then. That's nice, I guess." Inoki smirked, we even collected some of the blood and found something quite interesting, Mr. Namikaze. Naruto immediately jumped up and stood in front of Mei, I swear if you touch my wife or unborn children. Inoki chuckled, I can understand your reaction, but don't worry, I have no intention of hurting you or telling anyone of my findings for now. For the time being it's in my benefit and the rocks to keep you alive, only myself and one my aides know about this. We've lost both of our Jinchurikis, these Akatsuki people are incredibly powerful if they could take down them. You however managed to take out Deidara with little assistance. If the Akatsuki continue like they are, then I want to have a weapon I know can beat them. After you're learning to control the QB's chakra, you'll be more than able to handle them, no problem. I can worry about you later, the Akatsuki are a threat now. Naruto was about to respond, but Inoki put him off, no need to discuss further, I just wanted you to know I'm watching you, so be careful. There are people who hated your father, and I'd hate to think about what would happen to your poor family if someone heard about this. Inoki floated out of the room, yes floated, you've seen the show, read the manga, leaving Naruto and Mei to sit there. So someone finally figured it out, Naruto mumbled. Mei was grinding her teeth, he dared to threaten our family like that. I'm gonna melt that little imp. Naruto put his hand on her shoulder, as fun as that sounds, you know it would bring more trouble than it's worth. Mei grumbled, fine, but if he gets anywhere near our kids I'm gonna melt him. She gave him a kiss and they headed off to bed. Neither got much sleep that night, they kept thinking back to conversation with Inoki. Naruto had to get stronger than ever, he couldn't risk someone hurting his family. Naruto got up the next morning and got dressed, he had to head off to the Leaf today and was very happy about it, he was very eager to have mission to get everything off his mind for a little while. Sadly for him, this visit to Leaf would lead something even harder than a conversation with Inoki, it would lead to a visit with old friend, his best friend. Naruto walked to the Hokage's office with a little smile on his face. He'd had a long month and he was eager for some relaxation. However, when he walked into Tsunade's office, he could see that wasn't gonna happen. Sakura looked around, almost in a panic, you're sure that's what the scroll said? Tsunade rubbed her temples, yes, according to Sasori's scroll he was meeting a spy he had in Orochimaru's organization 3 days from now. Sakura slammed her hand on the desk, nearly breaking it, we're gonna go there, aren't we? Tsunade nodded, of course, you and a few others with you. Sakura turned around to see Naruto standing behind her, oh this is perfect, you're gonna go with me aren't you? Yeah, of course I will, Naruto said dumbly. Sakura hugged him and ran out of the room to prepare. Naruto turned to Tsunade, so what are you gonna do? Tsunade pulled a scroll out of her desk, his last report said that Orochimaru intend on taking his body soon. It might be for the best if we pulled him out now. How is he getting those reports without being caught anyway? Naruto asked. He leaves them various ninja we have posing as local villagers when he and the rest of Orochimaru's men move. Tsunade shrugged. Naruto sat down and thought for a second, maybe we should keep him in and wait for him to tell us when Orochimaru's about to switch, then we could storm his hideout and kill him while he's weak. I gotta admit though, I don't like the idea of risking it. Tsunade tapped her hands in thought, I know he's gonna put the two of you in Genjutsu when he sees you. He's actually been asking in his reports if we could arrange a meeting between you two. When you see him, tell him his options and ask him what he thinks is best, he's the one taking the risk after all. Naruto nodded, you mind if head to the hotel and get my thoughts straight, I can give my report later. Tsunade nodded and Naruto headed out, he had a lot on his mind. Naruto stared at the ceiling of his room, just wondering what he was supposed to do, supposed to say. What if Sasuke chose to stay undercover so they could kill Orochimaru? Should he tell Sakura what's really going on? What if Orochimaru got Sasuke's body? So many questions and he only had one answer, how the hell should he know? It had been so long since he saw his friend, what the hell would he even say? Hey buddy, hope the pedophile snake hasn't been rapping you the past 3 years. Oh yeah, that'd be a good opening line. Don't be mistaken, Naruto was happy to see his friend again, but he still couldn't help but feel like maybe he'd been wrong to let Sasuke go. No, it was something he needed to do, Naruto knew that. He had gotten so much information at one time, Sasuke just needed time to clear his head, time away from the leaf. Naruto sighed and turned off his light. Maybe he would find some peace and sleep. Naruto repeated everything he had thought through the night, she leaned back in her chair, frowned slightly, I don't know if we should tell Sakura or not, I just don't think she'll have a good reaction to all this. I doubt she would keep cover when facing him as well, she just doesn't do well with fighting while she's emotional, it's why I haven't made her jonin yet. Naruto shook his head, she has a right to know, I think she'll handle it just fine. If anything she'll try even harder because she wants to keep Sasuke safe, there's no way she would blow his cover if she thought it would hurt him. Tsunade thought about it for a second, maybe, but you don't think she'll be angry he told you and didn't tell her? Naruto scratched his chin. To be honest, I don't why he only told me and you, well I understand him telling you, I just don't get why he told me. Tsunade looked surprised. Naruto, Sasuke trusted you more than anyone. In fact I think you may have been the only one he trusted. You were the one person who was able to really understand what he was feeling, he felt he owed it to you to tell you the truth. There's no way he could have even entertained the thought of you hating him. Naruto got a small smile on his face, maybe, but that isn't really the point is I think Sakura can handle it, you've been training her, you've seen how much she's grown. Tsunade sighed, I guess you're right, I need to have a little more faith in my student. She opened the door to yell out to Shizune, can you get Sakura in here please, we need to have talk with her. It took about half an hour to explain everything to Sakura, after which she simply sat there dumbfounded. He's undercover, Tsunade nodded, and he only told you so he could bring back info. She nodded again, and he told Naruto because he felt he was the only one he could truly trust. Tsunade nodded as she finished. I know you might be mad, Naruto began. Sakura cut him off, I know why he trusted you Naruto-kun, he considered you his only friend. I also know why he didn't trust me, when he left I was just some little fangirl who had no idea who he really was. I don't feel the same way about him that I used to Naruto-kun, I've got Lee-kun now, I'm not in love with him anymore, he's just a comrade I want to she returned to the leaf. Naruto and Tsunade were very impressed, this definitely wasn't the fangirl that they knew 3 years ago. Naruto smiled at his old friend, things were changing alright, mostly for the better. Mei sat down in her chair thinking of her husband and of names for their future children. She had just gotten word from a messenger bird that Naruto was on a mission to go after Sasuke. Of course her husband had told her the truth about Sasuke years ago, he just her completely. Not to mention she was allied with the Leaf, it only made sense she would know about a spy they had in Orochimaru's operations. Maybe Kushina, after Naruto's mother, Mei said to herself. She shook her head, no, we're trying to avoid people knowing about Naruto's parents, not draw attention to it. She really wanted to honor Uzumakis in some way, they were a forgotten clan, even though they had been one of the founders of the ninja world. She thought more about the other members of the Uzumaki clan, she remembered that the first Hokage had married an Uzumaki. Yes that was right, Mito Uzumaki, the one who had brought the whirlpool and the leaf together. Mito Uzumaki, she liked that name, she liked it a lot. She leaned out the door to talk to her assistant, what do you think of Mito for the girl? Her assailant thought for a second then nodded, yeah, I like it, Mito Uzumaki. Has a nice ring to it. Mei smiled and went back into her office, Mito Uzumaki, she couldn't wait to tell Naruto. She sent a messenger bird out right away. It would most likely reach him just before he left. Mei was quite eager to hear his response. Naruto stood in the Hokage's office next to Tsunade and Sakura, thinking about the mission when his thoughts were broken by a bird tapping on the window. He opened the window and took the note the bird was carrying and read it out loud, Mito Uzumaki for a girl, yes or no? It does sound nice. Tsunade spoke up, that was my grandmother's name, she was the first's wife. Sakura smiled, it's perfect, you can name her after an Uzumaki just like you guys wanted to. Tsunade nodded with her own smile, I have to agree with Sakura. Naruto was grinning ear to ear and got out a piece of paper, he wrote on it, I love it, it's the perfect name for our daughter. He sent the bird out and kept smiling, he just needed a name for his son now. That still sounded kinda strange to him, his son. He didn't have to keep thinking about it though, he had a mission to start and it was time to go see his new time. Naruto and Sakura went to the gate to meet their new teammates, they saw a middle-aged man dressed in basic ninja cloths with brown and a pale boy with black hair. They weren't much to look at, but in the ninja world that meant nothing. Naruto walked up to greet them, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the leader of this mission, and this is Sakura our medic nin, it's nice to meet you too. Would you mind telling me your levels and skills before we head out? The middle-aged man spoke first, I'm known as Yamato, and I specialize in wood-based jutsu, thanks to experiments I underwent because of Orochimaru. I'm not nearly as good as the first Hokage, but I am a jonin. I'm considered one of the strongest jonin in village, along with Kakashi, Guy, and Asuma. Naruto nodded, sounds good, what about you? He asked pointing at the other one. The pale one looked up from something he was painting, I am known as Sai, I specialize in ink-based jutsu. I'm about jonin level, although I'm not very good with social interaction, I tend to give people nicknames to make them easier to remember. He looked at Yamato, Friendly Forest, then to Sakura, Cherry Blossom, then finally at Naruto, Maelstrom. Naruto chuckled, a little obvious, but I suppose that's the point. I think I've been given a pretty good team for this mission. Do you all have what you need? Everyone nodded, good then let's head out. Sasuke sat in his room thinking to himself about how he would see Naruto tomorrow. He had learned a lot in the last 3 years, he was easily elite jonin level, likely higher, and had managed to get a good amount of information on Orochimaru back to Leaf. Even more he learned a lot about himself and who he really was. He was eager to see his friend again, he had wanted to see him for a while now, the two of them had a lot to discuss. The traveling was rather boring, no one really talked to one another. They all had something on their mind, Naruto on what he was supposed to say to Sasuke, Sakura on making sure she didn't blow Sasuke's cover, Yamato on seeing the man who put him through, and Sai on why these two were going through great lengths for their friend. None of them even realized just how silent they were being, all they could think about was the mission. They were getting close to the bridge they were supposed to meet Sasori's spy on, not really knowing what to expect. This was a person who managed to trick Orochimaru, the king of all traitors, it had to be someone special. When they reached the bridge, Naruto raised his hand up for them to wait, he wanted to see the spy before the spy saw them. The spy walked onto the bridge, and no one could believe it, Naruto jumped out, Kabuto, I never thought in a million years you'd be betraying Orochimaru. I'm starting to wonder if anyone can trust you. Do you even know who the hell you're working for anymore? Kabuto smirked, I work for myself, I believe in sticking with a winning team. As for Sasori, I was actually double-crossing him as well. I was sent here to lead him into a trap to kill him, he's no longer of any use to us. Although I would guess he's dead, given that you're here instead of him. Naruto scowled, I'm guessing this trap is going to be sprung on us now, isn't it? Kabuto chuckled, smart kid, if you're really smart you'll turn back now while I'm feeling generous. Naruto looked Kabuto in the eye and smiled, this was trap set for Sasori, not us. We killed Sasori and his partner. I think we can handle whatever you've got planned for us. Kabuto laughed, if that's what you want then fine. I'm going to enjoy dissecting you, I've never gotten to look inside a Jinchuriki before. Sakura stepped forward, you guys go on ahead, I'll handle him. Naruto shook his head, no way, you can't expect me to leave you alone with this guy, he's at least an elite jonin, besides we don't even know where to go. Sakura nodded, true, but he's a medic nin like me, I know how he fights. I may be chunin, but I'm a jonin level fighter. I can handle this until you guys get Sasuke, Naruto I know the QB can lead you to Sasuke. Naruto hesitate, you sure, Kurama says he's pretty far away. Sakura didn't answer, she just got into fighting position. Naruto motioned for the others to keep moving, he knew Sakura could at least hold her own in a fight and they needed to find Sasuke. How much farther, Kurama? Naruto asked, they had been moving for about 10 minutes. About 15 miles, it should take you about 8 minutes at top speed, Kurama replied. Naruto yelled to the others, let's pick it up, we can't leave Sakura alone with Kabuto for too long, and we're not far from Sasuke. It wasn't long before they reached a clearing, and Kurama told them to stop, what is it? They're directly below us, there must be an entrance nearby, Kurama told them. Kurama says they're right under us, anyone have an idea where the sentence is or are we bursting in? Naruto asked them. Yamato spoke up, I can use my wood style to dig under the ground and bust in ceiling. Do it, said Naruto. Yamato placed his hands on the ground and it began to shake, before they knew it the ground crumpled and they did their best to land gracefully. They looked around and saw a massive stone snake, I think we're in the right place. Kukuku, I would say so. How have you been little fox, I haven't seen you since the day Kabuto and I fought against you and my teammates. I must say I'm a little confused how you got here, unless I'm mistaken Kabuto was supposed to killing Sasori today. So how on earth did that lead to you getting into my lair? Asked the dirty snake Orochimaru, who was now standing on top of the stone snake. Naruto looked up at him and scowled, we killed Sasori and found out he was meeting Kabuto today, Sakura's keeping him busy while we find Sasuke. Orochimaru threw his head back in laughter, you think that little joke of medic can handle Kabuto, or that the three of you can even compare to me and Sasuke? Truly you're fools. Just as he finished the very boy they were looking for walked into the room, so the dobe's here. You can handle the other two but leave him to me. Orochimaru smiled, as you wish, it will be nice to catch up with Tenzo. Oh wait, you go by Yamato now don't you, well it doesn't matter what your name is, only that I get to kill you. Sasuke looked at Naruto and activated his Sharingan, placing his friend in Genjutsu. It was finally time to talk to his old friend again. Sakura was giving Kabuto everything she had and it looked like it wasn't enough. She had never seen a medic this powerful, except for Tsunade of course. She was panting heavily which caused Kabuto to laugh, you should have listened to your friend, you're nowhere near my level. Sakura scowled, you're right, I'm not as strong as you are, but that doesn't matter. I can handle you for a little while longer. Kabuto laughed again, you think they can defeat Lord Orochimaru? You're wrong, he's one of the most powerful shinobi in the world. They don't stand a chance. Sakura smiled, maybe, but they don't need to beat him, they just need to hold him off until Naruto gets to Sasuke, and Naruto never fails. Not once since I've met him, or did you forget about him shoving a Rasengan in your stomach after just a week of training? Kabuto's eyes darkened, oh I remember, and he might never fail, but you do. I can't wait to see how he reacts to finding out his little crush from all those years ago dead. I think I'll even send him your head in a box, won't that just be priceless?" Sakura balled her fists and charged at him, she wasn't going to need to be saved this time. Naruto and Sasuke stood inside what looked like a sewer, a large cage behind them. "Why did you bring us here?" Naruto asked. Sasuke shrugged, "I wanted to meet the furball I've been hearing so much about from Orochimaru." The eyes of Kurama came into view. "Oh, you did not just call me a furball." Naruto raised his hand to stop him, "Not the time, Kurama." Kurama growled, "Damn Uchihas, you guys never have any respect for me." Sasuke raised an eyebrow, "So I'm not the first Uchiha you met?" Kurama laughed, "Please, I had to deal with Madara Uchiha taking control of my body, hell that's how this whole mess got started." Naruto looked confused, "Wait, Madara was the one who made you attack the leaf, you never told me that." Kurama shrugged, "Never came up, he made me fight the first Hokage, and I think he made me fight your father." "You think?" Naruto asked. Kurama nodded, "I think it was him, but I'm not sure. I remember Madara's chakra and it didn't quite match up, but it did feel familiar. I had definitely met the person before. If I had to guess it's just because he must have been very old at the time and his was likely experimenting on himself to stay older and it changed his chakra, but I can't be sure. It could have been someone else." Naruto shook his head, "Whatever, it doesn't matter right now, what's important is me talking to Sasuke, we've gotta catch up and I gotta tell him what Bachin said." He turned to his friend, "How have you been?" Sasuke gave a small smile, "Not bad actually, it was nice to be away from everyone to clear my head for a while, how about you?" Naruto smiled back, "Good, Mei's 6 months pregnant, I'm gonna be a dad." Sasuke laughed, "You as a dad, never pictured that before, so what did Tsunade want?" Naruto repeated everything he and Tsunade had talked about 2 days ago, "So, what do you want to do?" Sasuke didn't need to think about it, "I'm gonna stay and kill the bastard, and after that I need to see Itachi." Naruto sighed, "Don't tell me you're still obsessed with killing him." "No I don't, I just need to see him," said Sasuke. "Orochimaru's spies said that he's dying, and I need to see him before he does. I finally get it, I understand why he did it. It wasn't just about saving me, he needed to escape, to get out of there. His entire life was planned out for him before he was even born, unlike me. When I became a spy I nearly got to a point where I didn't know who I was. That's what must have hurt him the most when he lived in the Leaf, he didn't know who he was. He was always told who he was, he never got to decide it. He wanted me to have a choice, and he knew that could never happen if he stayed after killing them. I would just be another one of the Uchiha traitors. That's why we become shinobi, so that we can protect people so that they can decide who they are, so that they don't become pawns of the rest of the world. It still doesn't all make sense to me, but I think I'm starting to understand him." Naruto thought about it for a second and nodded, "I think I know what you're saying, alright I'll tell Bachin." Sasuke smiled, "It was good to see you," then he released the Genjutsu. Sai and Yamato were having a lot of trouble with Orochimaru, they could barely even dent the guy. They knew they could never beat him, not at this rate. That's when they heard Naruto yelling, "Let's get out of here, you two can't take Orochimaru, and even if I beat Sasuke, I'll never be able to deal with him without you guys." They nodded, Yamato made a large wood wall, and they made their escape. Orochimaru stood there smiling, completely unaware of what had really happened. Sakura was on her last leg, she couldn't take any more. Kabuto charged at her again, ready to kill, when he was suddenly attacked by a dozen shadow clones. He dealt with them to find Naruto grabbing Sakura and running off into the trees, much to his disappointment. Sakura whispered in Naruto's ear, so he chose to stay and kill the snake. Naruto nodded, "Alright, I guess I still need you to save me huh?" Naruto laughed, "You did great Sakura-chan, really great." They got back to the Leaf and reported to Tsunade, she declared the mission a success, much to Yamato's and Sai's confusion, but she just waved them off and told them to go home. "Oh and Sakura, before you go, I've been thinking. You've done a great job and you held your own against Kabuto, an extremely powerful ninja. You kept control of your emotions like a true ninja, so I've decided it's finally time. Congratulations, Jonin Haruno," she told her student. Sakura went wide-eyed, "Thank you Lady Tsunade, I'll do you proud." Tsunade smiled, "I know you will, and Naruto I'm guessing you're going straight home." Naruto nodded, "I'll see you later guys, congratulations Sakura-chan." He left the room to gather his things, he had a lot to fill his wife in on. Mei had become very impressed with her husband over the past month. She was now almost 7 months pregnant and Naruto had insisted that she stay off her feet as much as possible. She still had her Mizukage duties, but Naruto made sure that was all she did. He cooked for her, cleaned for her, gave her a foot rub when her feet swelled up, anything she wanted or needed he did. Anytime he wasn't busy helping her or doing missions, he was training. Over the past 2 months Naruto had been learning how to use the fire chakra he got from Kurama and how to combine it with his wind actually was having very good results, although his wind style was much stronger, he was about a Chunin level fire user. He still trained with Kubikura man was getting to be an exceptional swordsman. The day Mei hit 7 months pregnant was also the day Naruto was scheduled to head to the Leaf with Rituji, though he didn't know why she was going. "Are you sure you're gonna be okay?" Naruto asked nervously. Mei laughed at her husband and shook her head, "Of course sweetie, you've got nothing to worry about." Naruto sighed, "Don't be on your feet too much, okay?" Mei kept giggling at her husband's antics, "Would you just go already, Rituji's waiting by the gate." Naruto sighed again and headed off to meet Rituji, still a little nervous about leaving his wife alone for too long. He found Rituji waiting patiently by the gate, a worried look on her face. "Naruto-kun, how are you, reading to head out to the Leaf?" she asked half-hearted. Naruto was confused at the usually happy and bubbly Rituji's attitude. "Okay, what's wrong? You never act like this, do you not want to go to the Leaf or something?" Rituji frowned, "They didn't tell you? I'm to be married to the Aburami clan heir Shino. I am the last of my clan and don't have a bloodline either. The treaty stated that we need to send the Leaf one of our ninjas in around 3 years' time. That would be me. I know you and Lady Mei get along so well, but I just can't imagine myself being so lucky." Naruto tried to be sympathetic, "Come on, Shino's a good guy. I'm sure you two will hit it off." Rituji just looked at the ground, "I met him at the wedding, he's quiet and has no personality." It was like talking to Wall. His response were always yes or no. "How can I be with a guy like that?" Naruto raised an eyebrow, he was an Aburami at a wedding, of course he showed no emotion, that's what they're taught to do at social events. Just try to bring his personality out, he's gotta have one. If anyone can do it, it's you. Rituji looked up, "You really mean that?" Naruto gave her a foxy grin, "Of course, just give Shino a chance, he's a good guy who loves his friends." Rituji smiled and nodded. They left the gates and headed for the Leaf. They reached the Leaf to find Shino waiting for them along with the rest of teammate. "Hey guys, how have you been?" yelled an excited Naruto. Kiba gave him a toothy grin, "Oh, pretty good. Been getting to spend plenty of alone time with Hinata, so that's nice." Hinata blushed heavily, "Kiba." Kurenai gave a small smack on the back of the head, "Not the way to act when we're meeting Shino's future wife." Rituji laughed, "It's alright, I'm Rituji Tsukizan. It's a pleasure to meet all properly, we didn't really speak much during the wedding. I think we should all go out for a drink and talk some, what do you think Shino-kun?" she asked trying the suffix out. Shino nodded, "Sounds pleasant, I know a good place. Please follow me Rituji-chan." Rituji breathed a sigh of relief, he got her to call her Chan, that was a start. They went to a small restaurant owned by the Aburami clan. The hostess clearly knew Shino, he whispered something to her and she nodded heading down a flight of stairs. They sat down at one of the table, "My family owns this establishment, my clan makes a special kind of wine made from honey we collect from special bees we've bred. Using a special process of fermentation we observed from rare bugs in the water country, it makes a truly amazing flavor." Rituji gaped, "That's quite impressive, but we would bugs need to ferment something?" Shino grabbed the bottle the waitress brought, "They use it as a numbing agent on animals when they bite, so that they are not noticed." He poured some for everyone but Kurenai, causing Naruto to get confused, "Do you not drink?" Kurenai smiled and put a hand on her stomach, "Actually I'm in the same boat as your wife. I can't drink and Asuma's even stopped smoking around me." Naruto congratulated her and took a sip of the wine, "Wow, this stuff is great. The Aburami clan really knows its stuff. Thanks for the wine, but I've got to go report to the Hokage. See you guys later." He leaned to Shino as he left, "Rituji's very nervous, just do your best to make her feel comfortable, show a little emotion." Shino nodded and Naruto headed to meet Tsunade. Naruto entered Tsunade's office to find her in a battle with the greatest enemy of Kage paperwork. That was one of the few reasons Naruto was very glad he wasn't going to be a Kage. "Hey Bachan, how are you?" The tick mark appeared on Tsunade's forehead, "Not the time to be calling me that Gaki." Naruto could tell she wasn't kidding and decided to change the subject, "So Kurenai is having a baby, do you know the sex yet?" Tsunade didn't look up from her paperwork, "It's a girl, tested her yesterday. The gender and name of the baby has never been told, but since Kishimoto has stated he was thinking it was going to be a girl, I'm making it a girl." Naruto thoughts drifted to his own children, they still didn't have a name for the boy yet. Just as he was about to fill Tsunade in on Mei, a Chunin burst through the door, "Lady Tsunade, Asuma, Shikamaru, and some other ninjas are being attacked at the gate. We think it's Akatsuki." Naruto jumped up, "Take me there, now." They ran out of the room while Tsunade got out her seat to tell Shizune to gather some reinforcements. Naruto followed the Chunin until they reached the gate, they were engaging a man with grey hair and a scythe, and a man with mask over his face with green eyes. Naruto recognized the two from Sasori's notes immediately. Guys, back up, if Hayden hits you even once and gets your blood it's over. You can't kill him, he went through a chakra tainting ritual when he was younger that made him immortal. Lucky though, it means he can't use chakra, only to jutsu. The one with the mask is Kakuzu, he's a bounty hunter with 5 hearts, we've got to kill him, gives times before he'll stay dead. He an ninjutsu master and he had a massive amount of ranged attack, so stay sharp. Hayden was pissed, who the tuck is this shithead, and how the tuck does he know every tuckin' thing we can do? I didn't tell anyone about my damn powers, did you tuck up Kakuzu, cause I will kick your damn ass all the way across the tuck and leaf village. Oh, 9 swears in one sentence, it's a new record. Go Hayden. A man who had appeared out of nowhere yelled, he was wearing an orange mask. Kakuzu growled, why did they send this idiot along? Tobi is just being a good boy, don't be such a grumpy old man, Kakazu. You should have fun like Tobi, we can eat cookies, play games, Tobi ranted. Hayden was seriously pissed off now, Tobi either help us or shut the tuck up already. Naruto was confused, he'd never heard of this Tobi person from Jiraiya or Sasori's notes. Who was this guy, a new recruit? Naruto was shook out of his thoughts by Shikamaru grumbling, so we're facing 2 people who are almost immortal, troublesome. We need to keep our distance from Hayden while avoiding Kakuzu's long distance attack. Great, just great. I think I have a move that could take out Kakazu, but avoiding his attacks while making sure I lost absolutely no blood is nearly impossible. Naruto told them. Asuma scowled, this isn't good, they complement each other perfectly. It's an almost impenetrable defense. We have to separate them. Shikamaru nodded, easier said than done, if I can capture Hayden in my shadow possession, I can lead him away from here, while some more close combat guys help Naruto take care of Kakazu. Naruto liked the sound of that, then what are we waiting for, let's move. Shikamaru gave one of his rare smiles, already did. Shikamaru burst in smoke to relieve one of the Chunin had used a hinge of home, while the real Shikamaru snuck to a better area, Hayden was already caught. Naruto grinned, hell yeah, let's get wild. Naruto, Asuma and another Chunin charged at Kakuzu while Hayden ran in the other direction, or so they thought. Hayden appeared out of nowhere making a slash at Naruto, we were under game jutsu, but who cast it, and when? How did none of us notice? Naruto wondered all too late. The blade came down and blood scattered across the grassy plain. I'm an evil little rider. Don't worry, I'll update soon, see you guys later. Naruto had his eyes closed, prepared for the worst, but the blow never came. He looked up to see Asuma with the scythe being held back by the trenched knives. The scythe had made a cut into Asuma's hand, some blood trickled down onto his hands. Asuma laughed, you'd think that you guys would know a man who spends every free moment with the least top game jutsu user would be able to sense one. Hayden looked him in the eye, he was grinning ear to ear. Quickly as he could he sped over to his partner, laughing like a madman, you're going to be perfect for my ritual, it's time for you to die. Naruto was screaming, everyone get Hayden, if we let him start the ritual there's almost no way to stop it. Kakuzu released some wire from his body and it began to shoot fire at the shinobi, forcing them to lick blood of his side, his whole body turned black and white, it's over you pricks, time for beardy boy to die. He raised the sharp end of his scythe to his chest and plunged it in, still laughing. Asuma toppled over in pain and blood came out of his mouth. Naruto couldn't believe it, Asuma-sensei. The remaining members of the Ino-Shikacho formation were running through the forest, desperately trying to reach their sensei and teammate. Choji could be surprising fast when he wanted to be, and Ino was pretty fast to begin with. They weren't sure what to expect with them fighting 2 members of the Akatsuki, but they knew it couldn't be good. Once they reached the gate they found Shikamaru knelt over Asuma and Naruto screaming at the cloaked men. Asuma-sensei, Ino and Choji yelled. Naruto was going ballistic, you bastards, he was gonna be father. Kakuzu snorted, he's a ninja you little gaki. His life was fair game, just like all shinobi. In this world every person is disposable, I learned that in the waterfall. I was banished for being unable to kill the first Hokage, an impossible task. They didn't care if he was the strongest shinobi in the world at the time, if I couldn't kill him I was useless. I took what I could and left, never returning. The only way to be successful in this world is to gain as much as you can as fast as you can. This friend of yours is worth money, I'm not gonna be held back just because he has some kid on the way. He's expendable, just like everyone else in this world. Naruto was shaking, expendable, you think everyone in the world is expendable, the only people I see here who are expendable are you and your friend. The world will be much better off without people like you. While he was screaming, the Ino Shikacho were busy having their last words with their sensei, no, not now, not yet, Ino cried. Shikamaru still wasn't speaking, so Choji went next, I'm sorry, if we had just come sooner, hadn't left you alone maybe. Asuma stopped him, no it's okay you can't blame anyone but the Akatsuki, he said with all the strength he had, you guys help with the baby. Shikamaru finally snapped out of it, I promise you, no harm will ever come to your daughter, you're the coolest adult I know, I'm sure she'll be pretty cool too. Ino held Choji's hand, Asuma-sensei, we're gonna tell you tomorrow, we're getting married. Asuma smiled, that's great, I'm really happy for you, now we just need to get Shikamaru to. He would never finish that sentence, his eyes closed once and for all. Shikamaru stood up and saw that Kakashi had arrived, you and Naruto handle Kakuzu, we'll handle Haiden. Kakashi nodded, alright, be careful. I don't want to add two names to the memorial stone. Shikamaru stood up and looked at Haiden, who was still recovering from stabbing himself in the chest. He picked up one of Asuma's trench knives and threw at him, landing in his shadow. Haiden laughed, work on your aim, dipshit. Shikamaru didn't even flinch, that's a chakra blade, I've been practicing with them. I don't need to be near you to pin you down with my shadow possession. Haiden tried to move, unsuccessfully, damn you. Naruto and Kakashi had already forced Kakuzu away from his partner, Shikamaru had no trouble finishing the rest of his plan, I know where all the traps are around the gate, I designed half of them. All I have to do now is lead you to the right one to make sure never have a chance to perform your ritual again. Haiden's eye twitched, you fool, I'll do whatever I have to escape. I'm an immortal, a follower of Jashin, you can't stop me. Shikamaru walked up to him and captured him in his shadow, leading him to a group of trees nearby. I don't care about how you became immortal, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is you're killing my friends, and I sure as hell can't stand for that. Haiden suddenly found himself falling down into a hole with metal rods at the bottom. Choji used his expansion jutsu and prepared to bury him. Asuma-sensei had something you never will, the will of fire. An undying need to protect everyone around you. Without that, immortal or not, you'll never be able to beat us. Toji made a massive stomp with his foot, burying the man for eternity. Shikamaru headed back, he need to get his sensei back to the leaf. Naruto and Kakashi were busy with Kakuzu, who was giving them all they could handle. Give it up, I've got 5 hearts in my body, I'm over 100 years old, I've got more experience than the two of you combined. You don't stand a chance. Naruto had already activated Kurama's chakra, he was extremely pissed off. He made 2 clones who started to make a sphere in his hand, you wanna bet? Kakuzu laughed, you think you can actually hit me? I'm faster and smarter than you are, you're a joke to me. Naruto finished and raised the Rasen Shuriken above his head, tuck you, and threw it at Kakuzu. Kakashi's eyes widened, he threw it. It had Kakuzu dead center, leaving nothing left. Naruto was holding his arm screaming, son of fish, what happened? Kurama was yelling in his head, you broke your arm, you idiot, your body can't stand that kind of force yet. If you want to pull that little stunt again, you'd better finish Sage training or the Jinchuriki cloak. You're lucky to be alive. Naruto sighed and leaned back on a rock, no matter how strong he got, people still were getting hurt because of him. He had to get stronger, he couldn't keep letting people die for him. Kurenai collapsed on her hand and knees, no, please, it's a mistake, it has to be a mistake. Shikamaru put hand on her shoulder, I'm sorry, this is my fault. They walked straight through my traps. Naruto walked up, no, if it's anyone's fault it's mine. Kurenai-sensei, I knew exactly how they fought and I still failed completely. You have every right to hate me, he didn't have to take the blow for me. He could be here to race. Kurenai gave him a small smack, Naruto, none of this is anyone's fault but Haiden's. Asuma wouldn't have been the man I loves if he hasn't been willing to take that hit for you. His undying loyalty to his friends is what won me over. Ever since he trained you in wind chakra he spoke highly of you, almost as highly as he spoke of Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. You're going to be a father to Naruto, I can't imagine you of all people letting something like this turn you into a depressed little shell of a man. Naruto looked down, I know that, but it's hard to keep acting like it's okay that people are dying for me. Kakashi walked up to Naruto, Naruto, your father died believing you'd be the one to bring peace to the world, the one who could change everything. Naruto got wide-eyed, no one but a select few knew his father was. Kakashi was just blabbing it around people who had no idea, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi didn't stop, he trusted you with the most powerful weapon we have, the QB, he trusted you with everything. He and Asuma didn't die just for you, they died for all the good you're going to do while you're here. Don't let them die for nothing. Shikamaru was working it out in his head, your father Minato Namikaze, the man who sealed the QB in you, that's what he meant when he said he trusted you with our most powerful weapon. Naruto was terrified, please don't tell anyone about this, if some of my father's enemies find out. Shikamaru didn't need him to finish, you're the son of one of the most powerful ninjas ever, troublesome. Don't worry, your secret's safe with us. Naruto sighed in relief, then he looked at Kurenai, would it be okay if I named my son Asuma? He saved my life, it's the least I can do. Kurenai wiped the tears from her eyes and hugged Naruto, of course, thank you. Naruto got gone a few days later and told Mei everything, she smiled and hugged her husband, Asuma Uzumaki, it sound wonderful. Naruto held her close. Thanks, think just in 2 months, we'll have a little pair of people who'll be stealing your boobs from me. Mei nearly passed out from all her laughter. She regained her composure and continued to speak with her husband. How was Rituji doing with Shino? Naruto smiled. She was a little more optimistic when I left. I think they'll be okay. Mei nodded. They're only getting 1 month before the wedding. I'll be going with to the Leaf next time you head there. Naruto wasn't sure about that, but you'll be 8 months pregnant. Do you have to go? Mei kissed her husband's cheek. Don't you worry about me, Naruto, I'll be just fine. Naruto still wasn't sure, but Mei was giving him one of her "let's head to the bedroom" looks, so he chose to just let it be and go with his wife. She had been much more eager since she got pregnant and Naruto wasn't complaining. He knew his wife would be fine even if she did go with him to the Leaf. She was a strong woman and he had complete faith in her. He still worried, but he had faith in her. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.